What's up, everybody? This is Ripples in Wales, back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and having a great day wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing. Saturday, 22nd of November. Welcome back to the show. Let's go and have a deep dive into the past couple of days' news and have a bit of a catch-up. First things first, BTC, right down. Look at this RSI. It's only a few times you've seen it this oversold. Look at that. That's right super low in the 20s. It's been a long time since I've seen that, and we've had a big flush. And the question always is, why have we seen a big flush? What's going on? And of course, I've got a lot of friends who are saying that what's going on is the bodies are yet to float to the surface after that October the 10th liquidation flash crash. What was going on there? That is an important part of the equation. That's why a lot of things may have been occurring that we don't know. I think there was obviously a wider sell-off in the stocks and the macro, and you have to look at some of the TA guys and the traders data on that. But there's something else that's lurking in the background which is rather interesting. We can use the interesting nonetheless. XRP and Ethereum. Ethereum's looking really quite strong here in some ways. You've got to look at that. That trend line hasn't been broken, and it's yet to meet an all-time high. That could be a whopper waiting to break that when it does go, and you see the rotation from the BTC and BTC dominance chart. Have I got that on here? I normally do actually. BTC dominance. There we go. Is that BTC dominance? Yeah, it is. There we go. You see, it's breaking down again. But I don't know how long that lasts for. You might get a shoot up, but it does look like it's breaking down there now. That's a BTC dominance. What happens on the BTC dominance is you normally get a rotation into Ethereum. Excuse me. And ETH normally gets a big leg up after this. And XRP is still at 192. It's had a real deep wick down. But remember, there's a lot of updraft on XRP. There's a lot of buying going on under the hood. That's something we're going to discuss today too. All right, let's get into the news. This first clip by Hunter Halsey. Watch this. It's the CEO of Bank of New York Mellon, the oldest bank in America, the largest custody bank in the world, 53 trillion. One of the most widely used services provided in TradFi. Hard to imagine a simpler, clearer indication of crypto is going mainstream. It's underway now. Buckle up. So this is the CEO of BNY Mellon. Okay, just talking about tokenization as a mega trend. Let's have a listen.
Can you go into digital assets and sort of this trend toward tokenization and how that plays into the business model?
Yeah, sure, Carl. It's a really important trend. It's one of the mega trends. We identified a series of mega trends about a year ago, and we said we want to position our business, invest in those capabilities that will allow us to benefit from those mega trends. Because while we want to drive and are driving organic growth, we also want to make sure that we're attaching ourselves to these big market cycles, and digital assets is one of them. Now, that's not just stable coins, it's also tokenization, and it really is across the ecosystem. So we've been investing around the ecosystem for using our traditional assets and then evolving our traditional business assets to be able to be on-chain as well.
Wow. So you can see where that's going, isn't it? Our RWA, real world assets. Ripple is onto that mega trend as well to a lot of other companies, but it's not just about stablecoins. Stablecoins are a means, of course, but they're not all. Now, this is a very interesting clip here by Good Evening Crypto, Abs, GM Crypto. This is Vanek, I believe, Bitcoin's worst nightmare. So listen to what Vanek says here, and I don't know if this is most recent. I think it is actually, because Bitcoin's at 84K, so let's have a listen.
Fundamentals. Now, there's something else going on within the Bitcoin community that kind of non-crypto people need to know about. And that is, ultimately, Vanek has been around before Bitcoin. We will walk away from Bitcoin if we think the thesis is fundamentally broken. We don't right now. But you always have to look at the underlying technology. And the Bitcoin community has been asking itself about, is there enough encryption in Bitcoin? Because quantum computing is coming. And then secondly, is there enough privacy in Bitcoin? And so a lot of Bitcoin OGs or maxis have been looking at Zcash. And Zcash,
what's that?
Zcash is a token. It's sort of related to Bitcoin with a lot more privacy. Because the kind of garbage that we got about Bitcoin 4 years ago is it's like used for all bad illicit behavior. But now everyone kind of realizes when you move money around on the Bitcoin blockchain, you can see it. You can see it move from one wallet to another. And a lot of people are looking for more privacy.
This wild, right? They would drop Bitcoin if their thesis changed. Vanek are a big player. So that's huge. Secondly, this unwavering narrative about Zcash. Okay, there is a mega push on this privacy. Now, I never thought in my wildest dreams we would hear institutions like this wanting their own privacy and advocating for privacy coins. They've tried to crush all these privacy coins. If you're quite new here, you probably haven't been around for the past few cycles. Okay, well, Monero and stuff, they were almost dragged through every court in the world. You know, God, it was war. You know, I still think Monero is the king. Their chart is looking a lot more healthy than Zcash, but it seems to be there's a massive narrative towards Zcash that's being pushed heavily by KOLs and marketing. I'll find an article on that for you. All right, this is Tyler Winklevoss. This is to do with this. Remember, I talked about the 10th flash liquidations and the flash crash. Okay, well, this is to do with JPM Morgan. Okay, and what they might be up to at the minute. Choke point 3.0.
Some of the comments online, people are talking about some of the previous videos and the timing on JP Morgan. Okay, and when they actually increase the margin requirement on MSTR. So let's look at that, right? So I have an email here from JP Morgan on July 7th, okay? That is when they did a firm-wide increase in the margin requirement for MSTR. Now, let's look at that, right? So we have a chart here, right? And I overlaid the vol on that chart. Let's look at July 7th, this line here, okay? Now, on July 7th, the 90-day vol was going down between June and July. The 60-day vol is going down between June and July and continues to trend down. Stock price is stable, goes up for a bit, but now look, as they put this firm-wide margin requirement increase on MSTR, it goes up, but then it pretty much precipitously goes down, right? People had to liquidate that security. Now, there is no risk model at that time that would have told JP Morgan they should be increasing the margin requirement. This is a coordinated attack.
Now, what is he talking about? He's talking about MicroStrategy MSTR. And what's happened is there's I think it's a company called MCIS has kind of almost been forced. It's very strange to delist MicroStrategy and other Bitcoin DATs from indices, citing that they are basically not funds or not complying with the risk tolerance for funds. And they believe this is what's going on with the markets right now, why we're seeing a massive sell-off and dumping on the markets as people leave the MSTR stock, causing an unwinding. Now, this is Jungle Inc. Now, he cited Rand Neuner on this, saying he might have highlighted the missing piece behind the October the 10th crash. Here's a more important nuance. Rand pointed out something most people miss. On October the 10th, the exact day the market broke, MSCI released a construction questioning whether companies like MSTR and BNMR, whose core business is holding crypto, should be excluded from major equity indices. If MSCI rules against them in January, pension funds, private ETFs, and index trackers will be forced sellers. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, at the minute, MicroStrategy and all those things are on major indices. Okay, they would be forced to be removed from there. Now, that's pretty crazy because if that happens, there'll be an unwinding of these Bitcoin DATs, including Saylor's company. Now, Saylor's responded to this, and this is kind of key to that. And why am I giving this to you? Is it gives you an understanding as why Bitcoin's selling off, why there is massive unwindings potentially for it, right? Okay, and this is what the kind of the people are looking at the data. Saylor says strategy is not a fund nor a trust and not a holding company. We're a publicly traded operating company within 500 million software business and a unique treasury strategy that uses Bitcoin as protected capital. He also goes on to say, no passive vehicle or holding company could do what we're doing. Index classification doesn't define us. Our strategy is long-term. Our conviction is Bitcoin unwavering, and our mission remains unchanged to build the world's first digital money institution foundation of sound money and financial innovation. So what's going on here? JPM is trying to short them. JPM is fighting them. So Saylor is a threat. He holds almost 500,000 Bitcoin. This is what's going on. It's an attack by a vector from the old financial. Now, meanwhile, JPM has just been served a subpoena to do with the Epstein files. Interesting, all right? Anyway, moving on to other stuff. 21 shares. These have just filed or about to go live for their XRP ETF. They've just posted XRP Army, get ready. So that's a new XRP ETF. See, Solana's getting a lot of ETFs as well, almost pound for pound the same as XRP. So shows you what's going to be the large appetite. Chad Steingrubber, there are 12 funds coming in, that's a fact. There are also more coming in than that. There will be so many funds you won't know how to track them. Well, we will, because me and my friends are working on some AI software to do that autonomously. The Magnificent 12, Canary, Bitwise, Grayscale, Franklin Templeton, 21 Shares, CoinShares, WisdomTree, Investico, Vanek, Fidelity, Arc, Galaxy. They're all coming in. They're all coming in. And Smoke, in case you missed it, the ISO 20022 site is showing an approved request to enable Ripple's Interledger on the Swift network. Very interesting, just in time for migration. He shows a video there, I'll let you go and find it. I don't think it's got any audio on it anyway, so it's very, very interesting. They're tracking this ISO 2. It's supposed to go live today, isn't it? Saturday 22nd. On other news, Breaking UK just approved same-day trade settlement for crypto and tokenization assets, making it financial system faster and more efficient. UK is adopting RWA standards. That's from Crypto Insight UK. More positive news. Anyway, Charles Hoskinson, the biggest financial transfer in history, XRP is going to blossom. So listen.
Fundamentals are just sound. There's no way for these markets to stay depressed forever. They're just reflecting the current macro environment.
What's going on there? Sorry, the video's, I think, it's broken down a bit. We'll just... I will have to skip that. Okay, we'll have to skip that. For some reason, the audio is not coming through. Let's move on. It was just talking about the consolidation, essentially, of 18,000 crypto tokens to a major pack in the future. And he talks about a kind of a cold crypto winter where things consolidate and, you know, a few of the flowers blossom. Well, we've heard similar analogies like that before, right? And Brad Garlinghouse, BG123. Anyway, this is Raise XRP. There's no switch being flipped. It's just another plan coming to fruition. Let's have a listen.
Morgan coin in my JP Morgan account, or would I hold something else like Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP? Look, the only reason to hold a JP Morgan coin or a Franklin Templeton coin or anybody that's got their own coin is using it is because you got to move things around inside their system. That's the only reason. Those things are going to be stable coins. They're not. They're a totally different class. They're just used to make the rails workable. You know, everybody in the XRP world hopes that they'll use XRP and not develop their own token. But people will. I think it depends on the amount of investment they want to make. I think Ripple and its rails are set up for easy use by a lot of banks and a lot of institutions, and it will be used by them. And then I think there are the behemoth players that by nature are going to build their own internal rails, have their own internal token, and that's fine too. The whole ecosystem is going to build, but it's going to be more efficient. And again, Nostro Vostro going away opens up a stunning amount of capital. Yeah, the whole world to use.
Well, and to your point there, internal tokens versus when we do see the interbank transfers, the cross borders, all that. That's where RLUSD could really become a power player if positioned correctly. And now with G Treasury and many of the other acquisitions by Ripple, this could become reality fast, especially with clarity and all that. So it just seems like everything is coming to a head at the same time.
I think you guys outlined it in a nutshell, Ripple's strategy.
Timing.
It's been brilliant execution, a very disciplined, intelligent execution. I think Ripple, it just sits on the top of the heap, and they will once the last few things are in place. There's no switch being flipped. There's a plan that's just coming to fruition.
Beautifully put. Now that's Telecurium Capital. I'm talking to Paul Barron, and it's true, right? This is a I've said it many times on my channel, as a series of uplifting events is occurring. They can't do it all in one. It's too big. Yeah, it's too big. The switch could potentially refer to, you know, this switch over from the ISO rails, from the MTMMX Swift to the ISO. And none of people are paying attention to that, because basically what that does is it removes Swift's old standards and upgrades them. So it means that we're not bound to Swift systems anymore. We are now in a world where we can use different higher data-rich payment standards. And that leans very much into mandating banks to be able to use these rails and tokens potentially in the future. He's also spot on many things to do with the plan. It's an well-executed, disciplined plan. the buying out of all these treasury companies and these acquisitions gives enormous bandwidth to Ripple to deploy RLUSD, and namely have that underlying special asset class token XRP at the bottom of the pile of the stack. It's genius. It truly is genius. Okay, moving on. This is Digital Asset Investor talking through a clip presenting Canary Capital, and that's Stephen McClurg, and CoinDesk congratulating him on the most impressive and largest ETF launch in American capital markets this year. It's incredible. And that's to do with XRP.
You're being really humble with some of your first mover advantage, so I'll be the one to say it. Your XRP launch was, as measured by daily trading volume on day one, the number one launch of all ETFs and ETPs in the US market this year. That is an absolutely insane stat. And so I'm going to use a round number of $60 million of daily, dollar volume on day one, which is just part and parcel to two things. Number one, you brought something to market where there was demand. And number two, the market wanted it and needed it. And so those type of liquidity parameters are something that really should be applauded. It should be applauded by the crypto industry. It should be applauded by the ETF industry. It should be applauded by the markets. So congrats to you guys. That's no small feat.
We don't need to go into too much of that, but the point is Steve McClurg had a fantastic team and he had a good moving advantage there on the ETF map. But it's huge, right? Because this is to do with the XRP ETF. It is the biggest in American capital markets this year, the first one launched. And the first mover advantage was the key thing, right? It's interesting how he got positioned to be the first mover as a very small fund. Do you notice it wasn't Franklin Templeton? Okay, just drip, drip, flood kind of vibes, Very, very interesting anyway. Massive, massive news that. Don't think it's underestimated. Now, let's finish on this amazing chart by Gerard van Lagen. You can find him there on X. A very good chartist. Now, this chart jumped out at me this morning, and, these guys are mega bullish on crypto. These are traditional chartists, TAs. They're not kind of moon boys. And he's charting XRP here. Like, it's a monster chart. The next move up, it's kind of mimicking this large kind of move here, which is, he's got, a kind of $9 to $10, then another massive consolidation, and then another updraft into the decas, 30, 40, 50, 60s. This is what I see coming in 2026 plus. And I don't talk too much about price, but, this move is coming. Do not get a case of weak hands. We may be in for a bit of a rocky ride, and we know that's coming. Why? Because the old incumbents are coming in, and they're going to shake the tree. What do I mean by shake the tree? Well, they don't want to buy old crypto at inexpensive prices, do they? And so when Wall Street comes in, what do? They cause a ruckus and a riot, and they make things very, very tricky and difficult. The same playbook each time. Your XRP is probably one of the most valuable digital assets on the planet. We can lean back into the data now, the data-rich models, which say, okay, we've just seen the biggest ETF launch in American capital markets this year as an XRP ETF. Unbelievable, 60 million a day. Okay, that's nuts. It shows an incredible appetite in the American markets for XRP. But we're just getting started. As Chad Steingrubber was saying, we've got another 8 or 9 to go in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So we're going to have to start to track them. If you're really good with AI software, Claude, Grok, and you can put a script together, tag Chad Steingrubber in it and help him out. He's also struggling to keep track of all this data coming in. The reason we want to track it, right, guys, is if we can track how much is leaving the OTC desks, we can formulate a rough idea of how much is on OTC, just broad brush, and we can then have an idea when it's draining and drained. Because after it's drained, they're going to have to come back likely to the tier 1 exchanges and empty those. And that's when it's going to get interesting. Anyway, I'll leave it there for now. It's a news bite for you today. I'm Ripples in Wales. Please smash and like the video. Remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Again, liking the video helps the algorithm. Please give it a like and share. I'm being shadow banned on YouTube. That's clear. The views are down to the unbelievably low amounts, and these videos are going to be suppressed. We know that, so we just play against the algorithm. Give it a like, drop a comment, whatever it is, boost it up so people can see this and keep their XRP under wraps. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing the next video. Take care, be blessed, and bye for now.